and take from the best. And Michelle, pass it back to you. I've got a hard stop in 7 minutes, so I'm going to actually have to listen to the replay of the last 30 minutes. Thank you guys for carrying this. This is a great room.
Yeah, absolutely, Don. And thanks so much for all you've contributed today thus far. And I'm going to go over to Coach Korn. Coach Korn, good morning. How are you? What do you have for us on this topic?
Oh, I'm so excited. Amanda just got me going with that little lead in, so it was perfect. And, it's again, not sure where this conversation was going, and then it just boom, it hit. First thing, real quick though, when Bridget was talking about, holding values, well, several of us have been talking about that. And I've had several conversations around what is your value proposition. So I'm seeing in the real estate industry, we are seeing some new companies and new models coming out with discounted commissions. And when you look at what your value is, it's like, what are you bringing to the table that brings value to your clients? And I can tell you 3 of the last 5 contracts I've had, I've probably sold these properties for 10, and one in particular for 70 to 80,000 more than it should have ever sold for, in my opinion. Just, if I'm old school looking at past sales, we kicked butt for these sellers. We made them a ton of money. So there is value that comes behind that. And I do stand behind the commission that the sellers do pay for that. Well, in actuality, it's in the price of the home. So I don't know about, we'll discuss pay on another way. It is making them money, probably 2% of their purchase price over competitors. Anyway, so that was just a quick thing, is like, what is your value proposition what are the 3 things you do that your competitors can't say they can do and that brings value to your client? So now I want to jump onto building an inflation-proof / recession-proof business and share this topic, which is built on the relationship piece that Amanda talked about earlier. Pretty much most of the people probably listening in this room are probably small business owners of some sort, and yet I'm going to give an example of a corporate example as well. But most of our businesses, even if it is corporate, it's local and personal relationships that get tied to a store or a person. And I would say everybody listening right now, would you agree that eventually everybody could or would want to use your product or service? So when you think about that, you look at, how often do they use my product or service? Is it annual? Is it once every 5 years? In real estate, for example, people move every 5 to 10 years, somewhere in there. So if you take that number right there, that means for every 100 people I personally connect with in my community, if they're moving every 5 to 10 years, the next 100 relationships I meet I'm going to have somewhere between 10 to 20 people moving every single year for the next 5 to 10 years. If I just spent, 5 a day connecting with 5 people in my community a day and really connecting and staying in touch with them and all that, and I get 5 people a day, 5 days a week, is 100 people a month, is 1,200 people a year. If I have 1,200 relationships in just 1 year in real estate, if they're moving every 10 years, I've got 120 sales a year. That's a recession-proof business. Even if something totally crashes, half of those people are still going to be doing something with their real estate, whether they can or can't or whatever they're going to be able to do. So think about how often your product is used. If you've got something that they could use up every year or every month, just think if you started those relationships one-on-one. So I'll give one example. Like I always give this Best Buy example. What if Best Buy, big, huge electronics company, their employees come into work, they clock in, and for the first hour they're on the job, they sit in the back room with a phone and they say, call all your friends and tell them you're working today. Tell them to come by and see you. And I use Best Buy because if you walk into Best Buy, you're walking out with 3 or 4 little gadgets or cables or something you don't need. And sometimes you're walking out with other things you didn't plan on buying, like a TV or something like that. So my daughter does this really well in the service industry as a bartender. She's posting on social media, come see me, come have a drink, and she gets people to come show up. If Best Buy did that every single day with their employees and they called their friends and they kept them in a database and they let them keep in touch, write a note. Like everybody you get on the phone, we want you to write a note and say, hey, thanks for answering the phone. Next time you're in Best Buy, look for me and see if I'm here. Then they've got this database that they're like, hey, friends and family, now you're actually sending previews to sales the night before to every one of your employees' friends that come in. So anyway, it's just kind of building a recession-proof business from the relationship local level for any product or service. I can't think of anywhere where this wouldn't work, where if we just got personal and back to the human behavior, somebody and everybody's going to need our product and service at some point. We just got to stay in touch with them and be part of the community while you're doing it. It's just a lot of fun. So,
well, I mean,